Okay, here we go. Today's webinar is eVAL 2.0. We're going to talk about student growth goals, how to set those up, how to fill them out, how to create them, how to move those goals from the teacher to the principal to share those goals, how the principal can review the goals, can score them according to the rubric, and back to the teacher to begin working on them for the school year. So we'll talk about the goals and creation, also about artifacts, how to upload and input and create those artifacts within student growth goals. So here we go. I am going to use two browsers, so you'll see me flip back and forth between Chrome and Safari. The reason I do that in the sandbox is so that I can demo two different roles at the same exact time. You cannot sign into two different roles in the same browser. So I'll flop back and forth. And then also this is going to be recorded. I will show you where that's at the end of the webinar. And also some other resources, specifically the user's guide for eVAL 2.0. I think you're going to like eVAL 2.0 if you haven't joined any of the other webinars that we've done this year. This is a complete redesign. The product is stable and up and running and way better than what we've been using for the last 4 years. They've done a great job thanks to your feedback in the districts as teachers and principals giving feedback to the eVAL team to redo this. So what we're looking at is eVAL 2.0 in Chrome, and right now I am signed in as the district administrator. So again, if you did not, or if you're not sure what the district admin is, this is not your principal or your superintendent. This is actually a role that is in eVAL that allows a person to administer the eVAL program in your district. So one person has that role. I'm signed in as the district administrator, and that person has the ability to, in regards of student growth goals, set up the prompts for these goals. So on the left-hand side, you can see I am signed in as the district administrator. Looking at the dashboard, we're not going to talk about these things. We've done this in another webinar, all the menu items, but I am going to click on Prompt Bank. And the one thing that the district administrator can do is set up prompts for pre-conference, post-conference, and student growth goal setting. Any prompt that the district administrator makes is available for everyone in the district. If a principal makes or sets up a prompt, it's available only to that principal's school and the teachers within that school. And furthermore, the only person that can do student growth goals is the district administrator. So as a district administrator, when I click on this tab, I'm in the student growth goal prompt section, and you can see I have added one prompt. If I wanted to add more prompts, I would simply click on add new prompt. So the prompt has been set up. All teachers will see this prompt for C3. And for this purpose, for this webinar, we're only going to do one prompt. So that's the district administrator. The prompts are all set up. Now I'm going to log out, and I'm going to log in as a teacher into this school district. The other browser that I have is logged in as the principal. So give me just a second. Let me switch over to Teacher A and Principal A, and let's walk through creating some student growth goals. When we log in as a teacher, it displays the teacher dashboard. So on the left-hand side in the blue menu, you can see I am Teacher A in my school district, and I am by default at the dashboard. We're going to move down the menu to student growth goals. When I click on this on the left-hand menu, remember you can tell where you're at by this green bar on student growth goals. By default, under student growth goals, we have 4 tabs. The reason that we have 4, and sometimes you'll only see 1, maybe 2, Teacher A has been set up as a teacher that is comprehensive. If you have a teacher that is focused, you will have to identify which student growth goal they're working on for the year, and that would be the goal that shows up here. So as a comprehensive teacher, I get to see all the tabs that are available for creating these student growth goals. So this is the work area right here in the middle. I want to just point out that this student growth checklist on the right, this is a floating toolbar, floating toolbox, and will change depending on what screen you're on. You can see down here in the work area at the bottom that we have not collected any goals or packaged any goals, or any goals have been submitted to our principal and scored. So this area will start to populate as we do this. First step, we're going to click on Student Goal 3.1. As you can see, we have our rubric reference so that we can know what we're shooting for, what we're aiming at here for our goal. And here's our prompt that we put in previously at the beginning of the webinar with the district administrator. What does your student data show? So what we're going to do is we're going to fill out this prompt, answer the prompt. So by simply clicking under the prompt and typing in my text, I've now replied or answered the prompt below that the district administrator has established. If there were more than one prompt, you would see these listed below. But since we only have one, that's all we're going to do. Again, we're only going to do 3.1 in this webinar, but if we were a comprehensive teacher, we would have to do a goal for all three areas. The next task, as we move down the screen after we answer the prompt, is to create a goal statement. Simply click in the box. We're going to work off of SMART goals and using that format for creating our goals. So now you can see my SMART goal is spelled correctly. Or I'm sorry, my goal statement is complete. By May 2017, 100% of my ESL students will have done this. So this is step 2. Moving down the page, after we answered the prompt, we've created a goal statement. Now we're going to add an artifact. Now adding an artifact is optional. And you can see below this that no artifacts have been linked to this student growth goal. But if you have an artifact to support your goal, you can upload it here by clicking the green button, Add New Artifact. It's very similar to your self-assessment and adding an artifact there. But what we have here is the place to give the artifact a name. I'm just going to leave it by default. You might want to put student growth goal for ESL students. Remember, you're limited to 30 characters. I'm just going to leave it at default at this time. Moving down the page, it's time to attach something. We can add a file, a document, a slideshow, a website, or we can just simply type a description. I'm going to add a file. I have a copy. I have a PDF that is a local file. Remember, these files can come from a camera, a link to a website, Facebook, Dropbox, Drive, Instagram, and on down the list. I'm just going to choose a local file on my computer. And this local file is in my Dropbox, actually, in an eVAL folder. And we'll use this, even though that is really not my PDF, but for the sample. But we'll just say I have some data on my ESL students of where they're at right now. So I've uploaded this, file. I'll give it a title, Student Growth Goal 3.1 ESL Student Data. So we can see that my ESL students are not at 100% right now. I can also provide a reason of why I think that this document is of value to my student growth goal. So my description is that this document shows last spring's scores from the SBA test. Okay, a couple things here. Once I'm done with this artifact, I've given it a name, uploaded it, given it a reason, I choose Done. Once I hit Done, the Save and Close will become green. So a lot of people are looking for the Save and Close, but it doesn't work until I hit Done. Then I hit Save and Close, and I return to my Student Growth Goal dashboard. So as you can see on this screen, I've answered my prompt, my goal statement, and here's my artifact that I've uploaded that's relevant to this student growth goal. Remember, if you're a comprehensive teacher like this one is, like Teacher A is, you would have to do a goal for 6-1 and 8-1. We're just going to do a 3-1 for now. At any time, you can come in and edit this goal until you share it with your principal. After you share it with your principal, you'll have to request that it become unlocked so that you can edit the goal. So we're going to just say we're done. We have one artifact for my one goal. I'm going to come up to the top right and I'm going to click on Share Goal. It gives me a warning that says before I can share my student growth goals, I need to fill out all my assigned goals. So the reason that this is coming up is because I wanted to show you a comprehensive teacher, but I don't want to take the time to make 3 goals. So when you are finished with your goals, whether you're focused or comprehensive, and you click Share Goals, this is the screen that comes up. I'll give you a second to read through that. And then we simply click Continue. So across the blue bar, you can see that the goals have been shared, and then there's the button on the right, the green Request Unlock, that would allow you to request from your principal or from your evaluator to edit, redo, add more to that goal. One other part that changes on the screen is our student growth checklist. You can see that we have a green check now in establishing and sharing our goals, and we're ready to move on to get signed off. Okay, now we're going to jump over to the principal. So the teacher has submitted their student growth goal, shared it with the principal or with the evaluator. I've switched browsers. You can tell now in the upper left-hand corner, I'm signed in as Principal A. Teacher A has been assigned to me. When I come to my dashboard, I have simply selected Teacher A, so now I'm viewing only Teacher A instead of all the teachers that are assigned to me. The thing that we're looking for here as a principal is on the dashboard, I get these color-coded boxes. There's new evidence that has been uploaded since I've been in last time, and then student growth has some action required. So this comes up only after the teacher has shared that goal with the principal. So this button is not clickable. We have to come over here to one of these 4 areas to move into that module. So the other part of student growth, or of the way this screen works, is everything is on this page. So I can scroll down to the student growth section, or I can click on student growth to be taken to that section on its own. So I'm going to click on student growth. It just jumps us down, and now we're looking at the student growth section. As a principal, I can see exactly what the teacher is looking at. The student growth goal has been received. C3, this is a comprehensive teacher, again, and I did enter some data just so we could move past that screen. So for 3.1, we have 3 pieces of collected evidence. And what those are is the answer that I put to the student growth prompt. My goal itself is number 2, and the second piece of evidence collected. And then I attached that file that showed my student growth, my data for ESL students. So 3 separate things. And none of these have been packaged together, which we're going to talk about today as well. The score is what I will give them as a principal, and then the status. So here's the action required. Now to jump into this, the easiest way to jump in is action required is not a link. We have to go over here to view. So I'm going to click view on student growth goal for teacher A. This brings me into the overall process and the steps that I need to do as a principal or as an evaluator to score this goal. So let's look at this student growth summary page for a second. This is for teacher A. It includes 2 tabs for me as a principal. It includes a description of the goals, or of the steps that will walk me through. It also includes the student growth checklist, so we can follow along. And then at the very bottom, we have some summary notes. When we're done with this page, we're going to come up to the top right, and we're going to click on the goals sign off. First step as a principal or evaluator is to click on Student Growth Goal 3.1. This is a hyperlink right here. We're going to dig into SG 3.1. When I click on that, it automatically moves me to the Align and Score tab across the top. And it expands all 3 pieces that are part of this goal. So it has the artifact, the student growth goal, and the answer to the student growth prompt. Also note that you can arrive at this screen by clicking on the Align and Score tab and then scrolling down to 3.1. So on this screen, a principal is going to score the evidence of a teacher's student growth goal and then sign off on the goal statement. For principals, the Rubric Navigator over here on the right-hand side, we'll keep track of all the activity that's related to this rubric. In this section, the Rubric Navigator has quantified the evidence that's been collected for this teacher's student growth goal. The number 3 right here in the Rubric Navigator matches the number of items listed under the collected evidence section in the workspace. We have an artifact, a goal, and a prompt. To align and score the evidence, we simply click on the collected evidence section that we wish to use as evidence. Before we do that, though, I want to talk about the Rubric Navigator. If I click on C3, it minimizes that level. When I expand C3, it shows me 3.1. When I click on 3.1, we're back to the screen where I started. So now I've clicked on this goal. It has a green box around it. When I click on it, it shows me on the left-hand side everything that the teacher has submitted. So to score the evidence, we just click on one of these 3 items that we want to use as evidence. So if I click on this artifact, it turns black, and over here the evidence package creation dialog box shows up. So it shows that we have selected an artifact. When it was created, all the details about this. The next step is to score. So we've selected the evidence. If I select multiple pieces of evidence, so I'll click on number 2, it just keeps moving down. And number 3, the same way. Maybe I don't want number 2. It reorders, the box moves to the relevant spot. I've selected the 2 pieces of evidence that I want to include, and next I click Go to Rubric. This simply moves evidence package creation dialog box down to align with rubric alignment. As we move into the scoring of this evidence, I want to keep in mind that packaging evidence is a very handy tool for you as a principal, and it saves a ton of time at the end when you do the summary and you finish scoring this teacher at the end of the year. So we're going to take multiple pieces of evidence throughout the year. We're going to package them together so that they are brought forward to the dashboard for easy review later in the year. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to score these 2 pieces, and I want to highlight text that shows that these 2 pieces of evidence are proficient. So when I come down, I can simply highlight some of the text, all of the text, doesn't matter. When I highlight it and let go, it turns yellow. And this is relevant rubric alignment. So it throws it into the evidence package creation on the right-hand side. Once I've selected this text and aligned it to in the rubric, aligned it to this evidence, at the top of this rubric, I simply click on the score that I'm giving this teacher. Once I highlight some text, the window over here, the evidence package creation window, reminds you that if you want to replace the text, you need to remove the highlight first before you can highlight the second section. If you're ready to create the evidence package from your selected evidence, then you click on the green Create button in the evidence package creation box. Once you create the package, up in the top right in the Rubric Navigator, a new section called Packaged Evidence will appear at the bottom of the workspace. We only chose 2 out of the 3 pieces that were collected by the teacher, and so that's why we have 3 pieces that were collected and 2 that were packaged together. I went ahead and scored the other 2 goals here. For the sake of time, we won't jump into that, but it works the same way. And when you're done, it's time to sign off on the goals that have been collected. They're aligned, they're scored, and now we'll approve them. Up in the top right, simply click on the green Goal Sign Off button. Enter some text. And click Sign Off. After you click Sign Off, it takes you to a different screen. Remember, we're as a principal still. Student growth checklist. We have 2 of the 3 tasks done. You'll notice that the process stays the same as it outlines the student growth goals. But down under the summary, you can see that some things have changed. We have collected evidence, 3 pieces that were collected by the teacher, And also as a principal, I can add evidence in as well. And I packaged 2 of those together for that teacher. And here is the score on student growth 3.1. I also scored 6.1 and 8.1. You'll also notice that once we do that, we have the option now to move forward with student growth 3.2. Before we leave the principal screen, there is one more task that needs to be done. In the top right corner, we need to click on Share Scores. A window pops up that says we've signed off on the teacher's goals, and now we are sharing the scores. So there might be a time when you, there might be a place where your district works in different ways and you would want to score it, but you do not want to share it at that point. So we'll click Share. The box changes to a black. Growth scores have been shared, and now we're going to jump over to the teacher side to see what it looks like. Keep in mind that in eVAL 2.0 there is no link between the eVAL tool and your school district email, so no notifications will be automatically sent to the teacher or the principal letting them know that tasks have been completed. So you'll have to share with the teacher and principal in another way to let them know you've done some work in here. When the teacher comes back in and we're at the teacher A as the dashboard, we can see we have a new box here that shows that there's something new under student growth. So when we click on student growth, it drops us down to that section, and we can see that the last activity is the student growth evaluator has shared this. So also this is new, student growth 3.2 and the corresponding 6.2 have been enabled also because the principal has scored that, or has scored the goal that the teacher set up. So we're going to click on the view, the green view, and remember that the orange new box is not a hyperlink, so you have to click on view. That jumps us into student growth goals for teacher A and the dashboard for student growth goals. We have a lot more tabs across the top, and we'll work through a couple of those as we finish up this webinar here. But the process is the same. Our student growth checklist has changed a little bit, and we move down to the summary where we can start to input some more information. As you can see in the process, after we've established and shared our goals, we've received sign-off from our evaluator. The next step is collecting evidence and demonstrating growth, which is what 3.2 is. When we come down to the summary and click on Student Growth Goal 3.2, it brings us to 3.2 on the tab. We could also get here by clicking directly on the tab. So here's the work for the teacher for the rest of the year. We're trying to demonstrate the achievement of our student growth goal. So at this point, it's time to begin collecting artifacts that will serve as your evidence of the achievement of your student growth goal. So for the sake of this webinar, we're just going to fictitiously follow through as if this was the end of the school year or midway through the year. But I have some evidence that shows 100% of my ESL students have now gone up one level, which is what my goal is. So I have that data. I'm going to simply add that artifact. So this looks very familiar to us, just like the self-assessment, just like the student growth goal creation. I'm going to select that spreadsheet on my computer that shows that my goal has been met. And I'm just going to use that same file just for demonstration purposes. So I've uploaded that spreadsheet that shows my student growth goal has been met. So my uploaded file now has a description that explains my reasoning. I choose Done, and I choose Save and Close, and it brings me back to my dashboard. Now, one kind of gotcha here is that when you add an artifact at this level after 3.1, you have to share it individually. All of the artifacts in 3.1 were shared because when we were done with our artifacts, you remember this was a share button. Now it's a request unlock because it's tied to 3.1. So in order to share an artifact, we need to go back as a teacher. We click on our artifacts section on the menu, And you can quickly see right here which artifacts are shared and not shared. So this is that last piece. This is the spreadsheet that has my ESL data that shows they met their goal and that I will need to share this. So I'm going to click on Edit. When I click on Edit, it brings me to the artifact. This is the fourth artifact that I've uploaded, the third for this student growth goal. And this is working different than I thought it was. This artifact is shared. And now if I go back to my student growth goal on the left, I can see that, and I'm going to dig down into 3.2. I can see, this is not what I was looking for. Let me go back to artifacts. Here we go. All the artifacts that I have updated, number 4 is the one we're working with, and you can see that it is shared. So I think because it is tied to a student growth goal that has already been shared, any new evidence is automatically shared with that evaluator. So there is nothing left. So there is not another step that you have to do. The evidence has been shared with my principal. So now let's jump over to the principal. So you can see this is kind of a back and forth type of formula here. Teacher submits goals, principal gives the okay on those goals. The teacher starts to collect more evidence, adds artifacts to eVAL. And so we just add an artifact as a teacher. When I come back as a principal, you're probably asking as a principal, how am I going to keep track of all my teachers and all the evidence? Well, that's where the dashboard comes into play. If I just click simply on the dashboard for the teacher, or for the principal, let me go back to the original screen that a principal would see. Principals log in and you'll see all of your teachers that are here. And so when I simply select teacher A, I can see that there are some new things that have happened with this teacher. Some evidence has been added and the student growth has been updated. We're talking about student growth, so I click on it, it jumps me down to the student growth section, and I can see that a new piece of evidence has been collected for 3.2. I can click on 3.2 and see that the teacher uploaded the spreadsheet that shows all their students moved up a level in ESL. This process works exactly the same. I might want to package this. I want to score it for sure. On the left-hand side, we are in 3.2. It has a green box around it. I can click on one or more of the artifacts the teacher has uploaded. I can score it, align it to the rubric, and score it. And I can package this evidence for later. All the evidence has been added. The growth scores have been shared since we did this in the step before. And we're ready to move on as a principal. You can see that the number 1 here under the score that I gave them for one piece of text is aligned to this. You can also add other evidence. We talked about this earlier. As an evaluator, I can add some other evidence, something I saw, something I heard, something I took a picture of that would help this teacher provide some data for achieving this student growth goal. One thing to keep in mind, if the teacher does want to edit this goal and they click the button that says Request Unlock, the principal will see that. There would be a new button under student growth, and they would see and have a request under the student growth section that the teacher would like to unlock a goal. And if the principal agrees, they would click on the unlock button, and then both people would be able to get back in and edit that goal. The last task, and some districts might do this, might not, is the goal sign-off. As a principal, when you're done aligning, scoring, all the evidence artifacts have been collected, the goal sign-off report is simply just a report that can be printed, viewed, printed, saved, however you want. It's PDF, and that's there for your use also. So that's student growth goals. I wanted to show you where these recorded webinars are at and also where the user's guide is at on our website. If you navigate to this website right here, www.ncsd.org/eval, you will get to our eval page. On this page, you can see the recorded webinars. and we'll keep adding to that, as well as some on-site professional development around eVAL. And then most importantly, at the bottom, under the support documents, you'll see the eVAL 2.0 User's Guide. Thanks for joining us today. As always, please feel free to give me a call or an email if you have any eVAL 2.0 questions. Thank you.